hold up, because we got to talk about the fact that Nikon just bought Red. If you're at all familiar with the camera industry, you've probably heard the name Red before. And if you're at all familiar with this world, you've probably heard the name Nikon. So why is Nikon buying Red such a big deal? Well, Red cinema cameras have something called compressed raw video. And raw video isn't the same thing as raw photos. With raw video, you are just capturing all the data. So you will get absolutely massive file sizes, but the upside of that is that there's no real set white balance or ISO or anything. You can do all that in post, in editing. Whereas if you shoot Sony or Canon or Fuji, you're kind of dealing with log footage, which still is confined within a relatively small box of what you can do with it. You're limited to what you had the ISO set to in camera. You can only push white balance so far from what you had it set in camera. With raw footage, none of that is an issue. So you might ask, why has Sony or Canon not put raw videos in their cameras? And that's because Red has owned a patent on the type of RAW that it does. And when any of these camera companies want to put it into their cameras, they're going to be faced with such a massive lawsuit. So now that Nikon's purchased Red, that opens the door to these handheld hybrid cameras all of a sudden having raw video in them, which would provide such a massive leg up on the competition for Nikon, because Canon can't do it, Sony can't do it, Fuji can't do it. Nikon would be the only mirrorless camera to have raw video capability, which would move them from a left behind camera company to potentially one leading the pack.